Shout out to all of you guys coming in here. I know that it's late for some of you guys and normal time for some of you guys as well. Real quick, guys, just out of curiosity before we get started, if there was a time and a day that you guys would prefer that was better, what would it be? If you guys could put that into the chat room, I would greatly appreciate that so that I can kind of fit more people in. If there was a time and day that everyone would say is the best, you know, there's no obligations. Is it Sunday in the afternoon or Sunday in the morning, Monday at night? Where is, out of the 25 people in this group so far, where is the ideal time zone? Is it late by you guys? Is it early by you guys? Midday?
Well, it's currently midnight, like midnight in South Africa. So I don't know. For me, like I do stay up till 2 a.m. South African time, which is about which is like midnight GMT. So it's not.
So maybe we could plan these at 4 or 5 then. The only reason, guys, why I tried doing after 5 is because a lot of the U.S. people get off from work and then get home around 6.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it seems like my internationals are the grinders out here, and the U.S. people are just lazy. So it is what it is. But they're saying, yeah, 11 UK at the moment. I love this time at midnight. I say, okay, so then you know what? Between 4 and 6 seems like the perfect time for you guys, and so that's what we'll end up planning it on. And I'll try to definitely get Sunday and Monday, and yeah. So awesome. Beautiful. Okay. So yeah, between like 4 and 7, 5 and 7, I'll definitely be looking within that. So
I'm here anytime. You know that.
I know. Nabil's a grinder.
My God.
Doesn't stop.
Thank you. I told you, we'll only stop till we hit Forbes.
That's what I'm saying, right? Once we get, not even then, Nabil, we're just going to keep going.
Yeah. We keep going, my friend. We keep going.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. But let's give the people what they're here to see, which is the breakdown. Shout out to Yasmin. What's up? Gonna get to your messages later on today. Yeah, sorry to all the guys that I have not gotten to the messages yet. Like I said, Monday's usually my busiest times. Because I don't answer anything on the weekend, so things do pile up. But appreciate everyone's patience and stuff like that. So let's get right into it, guys. First and foremost, thank you so much for all of you guys that are coming out. I really appreciate it. I'm seeing a lot of the same names each week, and I'm seeing new guys coming in each week, which is really, really awesome. To the old guys, to the older members of the webinars, you guys know how it's constructed. We're breaking down the dollar pairs, then we're getting to the questions and answers, right? So for the new guys that don't know how to construct these webinars, I only trade dollar index pairs. That's what I've been trading full time for almost the last 5 years. Yeah, so I go through 6 out of the $7 pairs, including dollar index. And then from there, we will answer any questions that you guys may have. So if you guys do have any questions, please leave them till the end, write them down, put them in the chat room, whatever's going to make you remember. And with that, guys, hope you guys enjoy this webinar. And also, I believe, do we have him in here? Is he in here? Bessar is not in here yet. But if Bessar comes in, he's going to be breaking down some analysis for us as well on the crosses, guys, for you guys, because I know you guys are interested in where the crosses are going to go, and he's got a really good understanding of that. So if he pops in, he'll be banging out, I think, 4 or 5 pairs as well. But let's get right into it, guys. I'll stop blabbering going off. Critical area right now, we are in on dollar, right? So we are finally breaking out, right? But what does this breakout really warrant? Does it warrant the shift within momentum, right? Or is it a short-term correction right now? And that's a very interesting scenario on where we're at. And reason being, and why I'm pulling up to the weekly chart is because of this. A lot of people here were saying, oh, this weekly trend, Albert, that's the trend that's holding all of structure, and we should continue to the upside. Some would say you're correct. Some would say you're incorrect. I would say you're incorrect for 2 reasons. One, this trend has no validity towards it. Remember, a trend in the end of the day is not a straight line direction, but is warranted by highs and lows, right? And so in reality, this bearish momentum has never changed yet, right? And how do we know that? Let's just do a simple, trend analysis on this. High, low, low, high. You can mark a high there if you want, a high and a low. So in reality, it's a short-term bullish momentum right now, right? But the bullish bias is not really that long. Maybe the next 2-3 weeks, but that's about it. And that might even be short-lived for one reason, right? Because we could simply get to here, reject, and start to drop, and that just creates relief for another play, right? And even, guys, if we don't get there, right, we could still continue to leg here, and that'll just create bigger term relief for another push to the downside. And why am I still sell biased? It's for 2 reasons, guys. Let's look at this entire structure from a weekly perspective, okay? This was the initial impulse to the upside, followed by profit taking and relief, consolidation, and all of that good stuff, right? But that impulse was completely warranted as invalidated the moment that we, in fact, broke and successfully retested these lows, in my opinion. Now, I can be 100% incorrect if I do receive a break above, that 94 handle, that 94.15 handle. Then I'll say, you know what, boys and girls, we're rallying all the way back up to the hundreds. Let's start looking for the longs, right? But as of right now, I can't tell you that. What I can tell you is, yes, short term, you're going to be looking for buys, but the duration of that short-term momentum, I don't really know just yet, right? We have to see the market develop a little bit more. The reason, guys, why I'm saying this trend is not necessarily valid, it is valid for two reasons, right? Well, one reason really is a trend is warranted by highs and lows, lows and highs, and so forth, right? So a trend is not a straight line shot. But the only good thing about having trend lines and things of that nature is because this game is an automated game. Hence, we know algorithms and quants and so forth will have pending orders near or around given trend lines or certain, areas in which they calculate however they want to, right? Which is why trends become important, because we know pending orders are going to be sitting on those areas. The trends don't act as, they don't validate trades. They just give us, indications of where potential pullbacks might come about, which, we could expect a pullback to come out of here. Is that going to warrant the big push to the upside? Not till we crack the 94.15. So in reality, going to the daily right now, guys, you're short-term bullish, but still long-term, it's indecisive as of right now. We did, in fact, break out of this consolidation pattern, right? But the one thing you do want to warrant is that this is extended, which means you could expect a small pullback and then expect the rally back to the upside. The one thing you do want to be careful of with dollar is this kind of 93 handle, because you can see that that was warranted as a pretty strong low that was held starting from mid-September all the way almost into 2018, and then we finally broke it. So there's really two possible scenarios that I see as of right now on dollar. We're going to either pull back and we're going to start to rally back to the tops here. And this is going to be the really critical area here. Reason being, guys, is because either A, this whole structure is going to be relief. And why am I saying it's relief? Let's look left here. That's the impulse to the downside, right? And even though we were in a consolidated and profit-taking area, the correction is not warranted until we receive another strong impulse to the upside, cleanly breaking these 94 handles. If that's the case, you got to clean 600 pips or 600 points, whatever you want to say in the end of the day, or 60 points or 6 points, whatever you're in to the upside, right? But it's going to be interesting. So that's why you guys have to be very careful on how you approach dollar pairs for this week. The bullish bias is still up. I do, in fact, like this break in the way the daily's closing, but pulling it to the 4-hour time frame, okay? Like I said before, guys, we are short-term buyers, right? And you guys are just trying to buy this into the 93, 94 handle and nothing more. Looking at structure right now, and apologies, guys, some of my levels are outdated in my trends, so I will correct them as I'm going through the analysis for you guys. What we are looking for here is potential small pullbacks, and we could look for the rally back to the upside. Regardless, you're looking for these tops to get cleaned, and that is your bullish bias to the upside. The only way a sell would be, in fact, valid is if you receive a strong impulse followed by some type of relief, whether it's within here or we relief all the way back here. It doesn't really matter, but at some point, you're looking to sell that flag back to the downside. Why I was saying we might come to here is because it might relief back, create a lower high, start creating that trend, and that just creates a bigger term relief for another downside play. But short term, as of right now, you guys are still bullish on this. And so in reality, all you guys are looking for is that break of this descending trend that we can see here, which probably broke on the one hour time frame, guys, which we can take a look here real quick. We did break out of this right here. So in reality, guys, you're looking for just breaks of these tops and you could see continuations up. But the way structure is looking right now, if that breaks out, right, you're going to see pushes to the downside near here. And that's going to be, once again, a very critical area, because do we break out and do we continue to the tops once we clean, or do we make another impulse followed by some type of continuation pattern and rally back down? So your bullish bias really is only to be, if that starts to break, once those tops break, that's your entry above the tops here. If not, you want to let this rally all the way back and see if that just creates a bigger term relief for the upside, or if this was just false impulse movements. Right now, guys, you still are bullish on this short term. And when I'm saying short term, guys, I'm speaking in reference to the next 4 to 5 days, not speaking in a longer time frame direction. Like I said, from a longer stance, we don't know where we're sitting, because we can see that we do have some critical levels sitting here at the 93 handle, and we do have some critical level sitting here at the 94 handle. So like I said, guys, the short-term momentum to the upside, it is short-term, right? But once again, we could expect straight shots or small pullbacks and then drops, but we are targeting this 93 before the drop. If we don't get there, I'm going to be very interested to see what we do near here. If we falsely break that 90, 91 handle, that's another sell bias back to the downside, guys, which is kind of right sitting within here, which is kind of where the last weekly resistance is, turn newfound support, so that should be changed. So that's really your only sell bias. So if we make a strong enough impulse, followed by pullback and drop, which brings us to the direct inverse of that, which is EU, right? Now, I've been saying this, guys, for the last 3 weeks. I'm still long bias on EU, right? Which is kind of why I'm saying I don't know how long dollar can move for, okay? 2 reasons. Going back to the weekly here once again. It's that same concept. People are like, oh, is that trend important? Is it validating, right? Is it validating the bearish momentum? And not necessarily, because let's just look at a basic structural, let's just look at a basic nature of the structure, right? A low and we have a high. Then we break out and we create a high and then we create a low. Then we create a high and we create a low. So in reality, momentum is short-term bearish, right? But how much bearish can we get to? 115, 116, 117, 118. That's really the question, because last time we saw EU, we saw it break the lows. It even retested on the weekly and then rallied back up. And the only reason why it rallied back up is because it failed to, in fact, break these previous highs to the left, creating a higher low and just warranting continuation up, creating a structural retest, something that I'm going to be uploading to the full volume training course this week, which is the 2 types of retest. But that's all it did, right? And so we could be in the same similar situation once again with EU if this starts to, form a reversal pattern, and we can start to look for the big rally back to the upside, which is why I'm saying be very careful on how you approach your dollar pairs, guys, because last week, in my opinion, was just pullback week. I personally think this is going to be, start rallying. And I'll show you this, what we were saying before. Broke the lows, formed a reversal, and started the bullish momentum to the upside. Broke the lows. I want to see how this forms on the smaller time frames. As of right now, we can definitely see a double bottom being created. Definitely, everything else is looking solid. So let's see on the one. Yep. I kind of like the one right now for 2 reasons, guys. It's not necessarily forming a continuation pattern, and I like this slow, consolidated decline to the downside. It's starting to hint to me that we should see a reversal to the upside. But once again, we're going to need confirmation on something like this. So there's really 2 ways you can go about it on EU. Like I said, even though I am short-term bullish on dollar, that means I'd be short-term bearish on euro as well, which I somewhat am. But it's just going to be dependent on what happens, right? I'm not really focusing so much on what dollar is doing. I want to just see what euro is going to do in reference to, across the board. That's going to be the really interesting thing. And so looking at this, there's really just 2 ways that this is going to go about, guys. We're either going to break out here, and that's going to start the bullish bias to the upside. Potential false break here, and you could expect a drop here if we don't, in fact, break those highs, right? But if you do get a play from this, you do have chances to target there, and potentially all the way back inside. But guys, if we do in fact fail to break those highs, you are looking for a break of that, and then you're looking to run it as low as you possibly can to the downside. So, and like I said, I think it's going to be short-lived once again, but it's going to be completely up to you on whether you want to take this or not. Just take into consideration, guys, that this isn't necessarily the start of a bearish trend. We're still in just a bigger term correction right now. The impulse is not strong enough. You look at it from a grand scheme of things, guys, this is a strong impulse. That's a strong impulse, and it warrants that continuation, right? And so this is quite strong, but it's not necessarily a straight shot move. It's been more of a trending channel, right? So it's not necessarily a sharp impulse that's signifying to us we should get that continued bearish momentum, right? It was a nice trade if you guys were taking these small flag setups here, 1, 2, and 3. I don't think anything more, but just to look at it, guys, we're either going to break the lows and we should continue to the downside, or you're really looking for the break the tops and go up. Failure to do so is just going to warrant consolidation, and I don't think that's something that you guys want to necessarily be sitting in. Now, like I said before, guys, in very critical areas on EU, I personally think EU is going to go to 128. But in the end of the day, it doesn't matter what my bias thinks. I'm going to trade them based on what structure tells me. If we create higher highs, I'm going to start looking for the bullish momentum. If we start creating lower lows, I'm going to start looking for the bearish momentum. Failure to do so will not warrant me to take any type of euro trades at all. One thing I do want to take into consideration for all my guys that are part of the group chats and so forth, don't expect me to signal anything tomorrow for this main reason right here. I'm not signaling anything tomorrow. There's just too much shit coming out, right? So what we're going to end up doing, guys, we're going to wait for this data to come out. We're going to wait for it to play out. Once it settles, market starts, digesting it and so forth, we'll start end up looking for trades kind of Tuesday night into London, maybe Wednesday. One thing to also take into consideration is that it is NFP week, right? And so markets are going to tend to consolidate Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up into the data. Reason being is, NFP tends to have a strong enough movement on the pairs if the data tends to shock the market, right? And also does give us indications of when we could potentially expect another rate hike, of course, with the added jobs or not within the economy. And so with dollar pairs, guys, expect consolidation coming into Wednesday, Thursday. So probably, guys, once news comes out on Tuesday, you probably got a good shot Tuesday night into London to take the trade. And then besides that, if you're not getting your pushes Wednesday or Thursday, it's best to close because you got NFP coming out Friday, right? And so this is interesting, guys, because I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, but I have a feeling news might price in, or data might be priced in. And what you're going to start seeing is slow consolidation occur on the one and so forth on a bunch of pairs. And NFP is going to cause the sharp movement to the upside and start the bullish momentum. By next week, we should have a clear, definitive direction of which way these pairs are going to move, unless the data is warranted as a non-event piece of data. Then we could say, okay, we then structure in a sense is in the same scenario. But I'm expecting a strong enough impulse or a sharper move in one direction or the other to, dictate which direction, we're looking to take for the next 3 to 4 weeks, right? And that's something that we really haven't gotten in because we have been range bound for this entire time. And so we were stating this on webinars in the past, guys. We're going to break the lows and then we expect the bullish rally back to the upside, right? But it's just a theory right now. We trade based on confirmation. We don't trade based on what we think. We just trade on what we see, right? And so that's why, guys, you just want to factor that in and take that into consideration going with the dollar pairs, right? We got NFP. Dollar's making a corrective structure, but the question is how long can dollar push to the upside for, because we're not still 100% bullish on it until we start indefinitely clearing that 93, 94 handle. Failure to do so will just warrant short-term relief, a bigger term correction and relief for continuation to the downside, which brings me into USD CAD once again. This is setting up for another sell setup, right? And this is what we were saying all along, guys. Even if structure continues to this trend, we are still bearish on this, right? We are not warranting, any type of bullish momentum to the upside long term. The reason why I called the signal, guys, is because it was a short-term correction that we should have saw continuation. Unfortunately, we never broke the tops, right? Which caused price to start pulling off to the downside. But we are in somewhat of a similar scenario, guys, of where we are back in the beginning of April. And so we are here, right here once again. And so it's a pretty clean and cutthroat play. But let's take a look at the weekly real quick and kind of see what's going on. So once again, guys, everyone thought that these last 2 weeks were really, really, strong bullish weeks, and they were indicating, the direction of CAD, right? But in reality, you have to look at it. We were in a 4-week bear market, only a 2-week bull market. It warrants me as relief and just simply profit taking for continuation to the downside, right, guys? This is a pretty significant movement. It's expected we're going to get relief, and we're going to expect one more push to the downside, right? And I think that's what I was saying on the webinar. I was saying that we could go to 93.50, 94 max, but it was like 93. So it's like 129.50 to 130, but nothing more. But as of right now, taking a look at the smaller time frame, guys, we're in a very critical area once again. And let me zoom out here a little bit just so you guys can see things a bit easier. So apologies once again. Don't focus so much on the fibs. I would just focus more on just the overall structure right now. The analysis is not 100% fine-tuned, so just bear with me on that. But 2 ways we're looking at it. This is the impulse to the upside, and this is profit taking and consolidation right now. And if we do in fact start, breaking out of this small descending channel, and we in fact clear those tops, you're looking for one more pullback, and that is your rally to the upside. Your goal here, guys, if that breaks out, is once we break that 129.20 handle, you're looking to move stops as quickly as you possibly can, because CAD is still looking to appreciate long term, right? And so your goal is how long can I ride this trade to the upside, right? Once we break the tops, you should be looking to close your trade, okay? Now, the bearish sentiment to the downside, guys, would be if and only if we invalidate this initial impulse to the upside by creating lower lows, right? And so what we're going to initially need to see is we're going to need to see a strong, sharp move to the downside, right? And you can definitely see here that we're now creating somewhat of a cyclical behavior by creating the second lower high after the first high that was created. And so what I would personally like to see is first a strong impulse followed by some type of relief. And that if that does occur, I'm going to look to target that all the way down to the 125 handle, 125.50. So really two ways that this is going to go about on USD CAD, right? We're either going to break the tops and continue to the upside, or we're going to break the lows and continue to the downside. Failure to do so, guys, will just warrant consolidation, and that's all that you guys are really looking to do in reference to USD CAD. Like I said, the bullish movement to the upside is short term because we're still warranting the current movement as a correctional movement for continuation to the downside. Like I said, if you get this bullish movement, try to move stops as quickly as you possibly can because you're still expecting downside later on. Bringing it to yen, guys, once again, I know a lot of people were trying to be bearish on this play and be whatever, and things of that nature. But you know, the one thing here in the end of the day is just like on the other pairs, everything is warranted as short term, you know, simply because you know, we don't really know where dollar's going to move in the long term, right? And that's what we really want to take into consideration. Do I think yen is currently a buy? Absolutely not, guys. Like I said here, and this is something that a lot of my guys know, we're in two types of impulses. We're in an impulse within an impulse. And what I mean by that is this. And like I said, this is the initial impulse to the upside that warranted this entire relief and profit taking, right? And that's understandable. But the one thing, guys, that you have to take note of within the smaller time frames is that this impulse, this bullish impulse here, tried setting up for the long, right? And the moment that we, in fact, broke these lows and successfully broke them, it told me that these bullish impulses now is warranted as invalid, right? And you guys would be like, wow, Albert, we just broke back above. But in reality, guys, for my guys that know from my training course how this is looked at from behavioral analysis, you can see the behavior is always coming from the pushes of the trend, right? And so in reality, right, what structure looks to do most likely is that it's probably going to be a short-term push to the upside, creating a lower high and structurally retesting that previous low it broke. And that's just going to warrant relief for another leg to the downside. Remember, our target is this 100 handle, and then we're expecting that bullish run to the upside because of what we expect on the monthly time frame with this initial impulse right here. So once we can start rallying down there, you're looking for upside on that. Personally, guys, I don't think the bullish momentum is warranted until we cleanly crack, you know, the 114 handle. If not, you're looking to take these bullish plays very seldomly. Don't get me wrong, guys, there's 300 pips from here to the trend, and a lot of people will be like, Albert, that's a lot of pips. And yes, that is a lot of pips. But you have to just warrant if you guys are going to be, you know, comfortable with the current R&R, considering where we are within structure at the same time, you know, of what type of trade it is, right? Because remember, in the end of the day, this is nothing significant compared to what really warrants yen's initial movement to the downside, right? And you have to factor that in. And so, which is why we're saying that we could expect, you know, continuation to the upside short term, but that's all we're treating it as, because we don't know yet if this is just another corrective leaf back down, cracking to the 100 handle, or we're actually going to rally back to the upside. Remember, guys, the movement that we're seeing right now here in the yen on the daily is strong enough for another 200 pips, but is not strong enough to warrant that 500-600 pip movement to the upside. Not yet, at least, in my opinion. So pulling it to the 4-hour time frame, guys, you guys are just looking to rally this bullish run as quickly as you possibly, you guys are looking to take these bullish trades as quickly as you can. And if you guys can move stops as quickly as you can, by all means as well. So let's just look at it in a simplistic way. We're kind of in this structure right now. And that's just, remember guys, that's just due to this initial impulse, warrants the relief, profit-taking, consolidation, etc. And so there's two ways that this is going to happen. Even if it breaks this low, that's a short-term sell to the downside because you still got that ascending trend. And if that does happen, guys, what you guys are looking to do is take the break of that ascending trend and look for the trades to the upside. Once you get to the stops are moved to break even, and you see what's going to go on from there. Okay, but if we don't break that low, you're just looking for these tops to break, preferably probably around the you probably want to see 109.80 to 110 cleared, and if you get that, you'll probably get the 111, 112 push. But really, you're just looking to see what are we going to do here, right? If we break this, we're going to push to the trend, but then the question is, do we rally or do we start to break to the downside? That's really the big question that we have here, right? So bullish bias above here, bearish bias, we got to take a much wider look outside. Let's see what's going on. Bearish bias, guys, really wouldn't be warranted until we make a significant crack below probably 108 again, and then we can start looking for continued sells to the downside. Looking at pound dollar right now, guys, we are still bearish on, no, we're bullish on pound as of right now. Apologies about that. And reason being for two reasons. We are tagging that weekly ascending trend that we can see from here. And remember, once again, guys, we are targeting around the 146, 147 handle on pound dollar for two reasons. Guys, this is the initial impulse. This is the relief, and we're just in another corrective relief right now. Sorry with the mouse. And so in reality, we're just looking for that to correct all the way back to the downside. You know, the Bank of England's economics are structured to depreciate right now, not appreciate against. So therefore, we are still looking for short-term buys for the bigger term sell to the downside. Now, one thing to note, guys, on the 4-hour time on the daily time frame is that we are range bound, and so you are looking to just play within the ranges. If this breaks, guys, you're looking for that bullish momentum, looking to run it back to the tops, right? Just remember here, though, is that it's not a true buy until we break that 139, 140 handle. Failure to do so could just be warranted as short-term relief, creating a lower high and expecting another bear flag to the downside, okay? So for you buyers that want to take that trade, it's a clear break above there, and you've got the clean trade to the upside. I'm not saying you guys can't make money within this small space. It's just going to be a bit tougher because the pressure in reference to buying power will not be there just yet. Now, there is short-term buys. Once you get the break off of this, you guys can run it to here and potentially to the tops there. But like I said, guys, that's a short-term play because if this doesn't break, you guys are looking for one more trade back to those lows. But if we do, in fact, get the break, there you go, and run that straight to the top. So you guys are looking for what is price going to do around this area near here. Do we break out and falsely break? Or do we break out and continue, right? That's what you guys want to see. The sell bias, I would not be taking any sells without a pullback unless this weekly support around 137.66 handle cracks strongly. The reason being, guys, is because this is quite of an extended move already. So if this cracks some more, you'll probably get the last push down to around 135, 134.60, right? But looking at the 4-hour, you ideally don't want, you could take this 1-hour sell setup to the downside, but just remember you have that weekly ascending trend. I was saying here that we weren't forming any type of continuation pattern, but that is a short-term reversal pattern anyway. So if this doesn't break out and break the lows indefinitely, you're going to expect that buy back to the upside. I personally think pound's going to rally, but we'll review all these pairs at the end, guys. AUD USD, I've been telling you guys this since day one. I personally think that we should still be long bias on this, but not until we start seeing rejections around the 75 handle. If we don't do that, then you guys should just be looking to target this all the way to the downside. But looking at it from the daily time frame right now, it looks like that we are trying to pull back and start to decelerate a little bit, not with the last daily candle, but the two previous ones. But you pull it on the 4-hour time frame, right? And the interesting thing here, guys, I don't use the RSI, but the RSI is creating higher lows when this is making lower lows. This doesn't have enough strength to it right now to continue to push to the downside, in my personal opinion, but we will see. So pulling it on the daily and what I think is going to happen, guys, real quick. On the 7.5 handle, if you want to take anything below that, I would highly suggest to wait for a daily crack below that, just to give you that added confluence that this is in fact broken. You are dealing with a strong weekly level right here, and if you look left, you can see a bunch of rejections that occurred there as well. So you guys want to make sure that this is in fact broken, and then look for a continuation pattern like on the 401 and look to run that all the way down to 7-1. That would be your target near there. But if that doesn't happen, guys, and let's say structure starts falsely breaking out and things of that nature, I would personally then want to see structure break out of that, and plus this last high here. If I can see this, I'm riding that all the way to the top and warranting this as a false breakout on the weekly trend line. Now, I can be 100% incorrect, guys, but these are just two ways that I would go about it. Now, the one thing to note is that this is forming a reversal pattern and not a continuation pattern. This is a pretty strong impulse to the upside, and for me, to the downside, for me to say that we should continue to the downside, I would want to have seen this, create some type of relief, and then you can look for another target to the downside. Instead, it's failing to do that, right? And where did we see this, guys, last time that happened? We take a look at, where was it? EU, I believe. Where was the reversal? So it was kind of, we didn't break the lows, in fact, here, but it's kind of the same similar structure, guys, right? Instead of creating those with those strong impulses, creating strong enough reversal patterns and start creating trends, we failed to do that and created, those continuation patterns, and instead we created reversal patterns, right? And from there warranted the shift within momentum. So we're going to see how AU plays out. Be very careful from the sell bias just because of how extended it is, but the bull bias does look good if you guys start creating higher highs. Like I said, the bullish momentum in reality is not warranted until you start breaking above, I would say 76, 76.50, which comes right in line with that weekly descending trend. So just be careful on that. And remember, guys, if this behavior is going to continue on AU, we're going to have to tag that trend at some point, right? And so that's really when, it's going to dictate, are we continuing or we make a strong enough impulse? Like I said, a catalyst is going to have to dictate a lot of these directions, and that's what we're getting this week. We're getting a lot of news driven. So NU, last but not least, guys, still targeting to the downside. Shout out to every single person that got this trade. I was still bullish on this because we were really holding this 71, 72 handle. But once we did, in fact, crack those on the daily, you guys were good to take that sell to the downside. So where I think NU is going to move short term, I think you guys are going to get a pullback, and then I think you guys are going to see continuation to the downside. You guys can see a lot of these pairs that have rallied a lot are showing a lot of reversal patterns. This is the impulse, and that's reversing, right? So the moment these highs break, you're looking to run that near here. And then that's the critical area, right? Because this is either, okay, now we're in this situation here. Do we break and we start tagging the lows again, or we're going to make a strong enough impulse and we should tag the tops, right? And so in reality, guys, you're probably just going to get these reversal patterns that are going to be forming. Not these reversal patterns. These short-term reversal patterns that are going to be forming in the next day or two. So if you can get them, your goal is just to move stops as quickly as you possibly can and see what you guys can do within structure. But that is what I want to review in reference to the dollar pair, guys. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly review the dollars one last time, go through them and exactly how we're going to be entering and exiting these trades. And then from there, if Bessart is here, he can go. He is here, so he can go in his part. And then from there, we'll take any questions that you guys may have. So just to reiterate, guys, EU, short term, we are bearish. Long term, indecisive, but my opinion still bullish, right? Reason why we're bearish is, of course, daily is descending. 4 hours descending, you want to be looking for the sell setups ideally, right? But don't knock the bullish bias simply because of the potential false break that we were hinting. So let's get right into it. EU to start. Here we go. EU, two ways that this is going to play out. We are range bound right now due to profit taking and relief. We're either going to break the lows and continue to the downside near the weekly support. Just note that this may be warranted as a short-term sell and not the best R&R, simply because your risk to reward ratio from take profit 1 to stop loss might not be what you guys like. So just take that into consideration. Failure to do so, we are looking for this bullish bias to rally to the upside and start getting near there. Just be careful, guys, because you really do want to see a crack above, this 122 handle, and then from there you can really see the big bullish push to the upside. But you are really looking for this range to break. Failure to do so on that range is just going to warrant short-term relief. Just going to warrant consolidation. Going to USD CAD, guys, if you guys are going to try to take the bull run, just please note that it is short-term as of right now, and we are still bearish on this in the long term, right? So two ways that USD CAD is going to play out. Either we're range bound once again due to this initial impulse to the upside, creating consolidated profit taking. So if we break the tops retest, you're looking for the upside. We break the lows retest, you're looking for the downside. Failure to do so is just going to warrant consolidation. Just remember, guys, that this trade is short term to the upside simply because we are still targeting downside based on, CAD economics and things of that nature. I know we don't factor in economics in our trading, but just talking about the underlying pressure of the asset, okay? And so same concept with the downside, right? If we can get this USD CAD to start breaking out, that's a trade you guys want to target straight back down to the lows. This is short term, as we are still warranting it as just a bigger term correction after all of this sell off to the left. Going into the yen right now, guys, we are still short-term bullish on this, long-term indecisive because we don't know what it's going to do just yet. Taking it to the 4-hour time frame, guys, you guys are simply just looking to ride this bullish momentum as far as you possibly can. We are creating a flag once again due to this initial impulse to the left, right? Profit taking and so forth. So either two ways, this is just going to rally to the trend. And once this breaks, that is your trade to the upside. Or, guys, it may not rally to the trend and just consolidate. And once that tops breaks, it goes to the upside. Failure to do so, guys, you guys are looking for a strong enough impulse below the 108 handle, followed by a continuation pattern, and that is your rally all the way back to the downside. Failure to do so, guys, is just going to warrant consolidation, and you really don't want to be looking for sells below, I would say, this 108, 107 handle, and buys are really not above. Are not warranted until we break the tops of the 109.63 handle. Pulling it to pound dollar, same concept, guys. We are short-term bullish on this and then long-term bearish on this. We are at a very critical area right now for two reasons. We are holding this weekly ascending trend, as well as we are simply just retesting that previous high that we did break, right? In fact, creating a structural retest, and on top of that, creating a higher low on the trend. If you guys understand the behavior, my students should, you guys can see all the bullish pushes do come from the ascending trend. One thing to note is they don't be afraid of these big impulses because pound's behavior does tend to push really hard before you will see these big rallies to the upside, right? And we are targeting that 146, 147 handle. And so let's see how that plays out. Two ways, guys, that we can look at pound dollar as of right now. We can either A, say that, and I know it's not the best trend in the world. Apologies, guys. Let's pull it wick to wick for all my students and things of that nature. So, okay. So two ways, like I said, I think pounds it's forming a reversal pattern, but it could be wrong if it starts creating lower lows. So let's just base it like this. You guys got a consolidated range with this weekly ascending trend. If you guys see a strong break below that, I would probably wait to see that on the daily or the 4-hour, but it's perfectly up to you simply because what do we got to the downside? You got about 100, 150 pips to the downside on there. So if you guys do see, in fact, these lows getting broken and retested, that's your trade near there, and that's about it. I wouldn't be trying to go for any more just because of the entire structure is quite extended to the downside, and at some point we're expecting that pullback or at least relief of that. Now, if we fail to do that, guys, right, this is something that's really interesting because the bullish momentum is not warranted until we break the daily resistance around 139.867. So you can get a short-term buy within here. Once you get that, stops are at break even, and you're hoping that you can get this break back to the upside, right? Failure to do so, you guys are just looking to sell that play back to the ascending trend. So there's a two-way play here, guys. You got a short-term buy to the upside and then a potential continued buy to the upside, or if this breaks out, you're looking for another sell to the downside. Anything besides that, guys, is just going to warrant consolidation, and that's not something that you should necessarily be interested in. The sell bias is warranted by the breaks of the lows, but just remember that's a very critical level found on the daily, and you're probably going to want to see that broken on the daily to see continuation down. AU, same thing, guys. I'm expecting reversals on this, but I can be completely wrong if we crack this 75 handle. So be very careful in how you approach the sell bias. Probably want to see the daily crack that, and then you'll have more of a clear direction on which way it's going to go. You do got AUD news coming out, I think, tomorrow, so that should give this thing a little bit of a shakeup. Unfortunately, guys, this is forming unfortunately, who cares? We're buyers and sellers at the end of the day. This is forming a reversal pattern, and so if we do get the breaks of these highs, that is your rally back to the upside to test that descending trend and create a lower high. And then from there, we're either A, going to start once again relieving and expect a push to the downside, or that's going to be the bullish sentiment and you're starting to target that entire upside play. Okay, now that's what I think is going to happen. This low bias is only warranted if we continue to break to the downside, but like I said, I would wait for that on the daily time frame simply because it's a very, very critical area. Okay, you got, it's the same thing like pound, guys. You got this one bullish play to here, stops to break even once you get to those tops and even these tops, and you really want to see, you know, what is going on for the remainder of this trade, because this really can be just short-term relief for another rally here. So be careful on a lot of these plays, guys. Safest play is here and safest play is below that on the daily. Pulling it to New Zealand, I believe. Yep, for the last one. And New Zealand, guys, we are still sell bias on this, but just like AU, it is forming a reversal pattern, and we can see the behavior does come from the pushes of the trend. So if these tops do break, you got small short-term bias to the upside, moving stops as quickly as we possibly can, because we are still looking to sell this to the downside once this in fact breaks and goes down. Now, if that never happens and this still holds and it still continues to channel, you probably want to be very careful on how you take it. Probably take it on the one and manage it as quickly as you possibly can, because if you start noticing false breaks, that's going to warrant the bullish bias and start going to the ascending trend. So be careful with something like that. But if we do break the lows and continue to hold those lows, you can target that ascending trend found on the weekly time frame. But most likely you want to just be targeting the weekly support around 70.10, and that's about it, nothing more. So in reality, guys, I don't know if you guys really want to be taking this trade just because of the R&R. It might not be worth it for you guys, but that's something that you guys do have to factor in. So all in all, guys, it's going to be an interesting week. We'll see how things are going to play out. And yeah, so that's what I want to be going through in reference to my dollar pairs. And now, thankfully, we also have Bessart here that can go over his cross pairs. I believe, Bessart, how many pairs do you have?
For this week, I have 6 pairs.
Okay, so Bessart will review the 6 pairs, and then from there, guys, we'll answer any questions that you guys may have. So, Bessart, would you like to take over?
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, guys. And guys, just so I can introduce Bessart real quick, Bessart is one of my students who has taken my full volume training course and now works very closely with me, and well, he actually took the one-on-one training about a year ago and is actually looking to go full-time come this summer. So that's really exciting for him. So congratulations to you, Bessart.
Thank you.
So yeah, Bessart has been working with me, guys, for quite some time now. We've become very close, and he is one hell of a trader, understands the markets extremely well. And so hopefully you guys can pick up a thing or two from him. So Bessart, all you.
Thank you, Albert. Thank you very much from you. This week is actually very interesting because we have some high volatility news that I expect to give movements either to the upside to the downside, and will be like a catalyst, as you mentioned earlier, because right now most of the pairs are in consolidation zones and we are waiting for movements, because as we see just tomorrow we have like all the Australian dollar news, the pound news, the CAD news, and the USD news. So they are all high volatility, which I expect to show some clear movements. And I think that it's even though there are some good areas that to enter any position right now, I would suggest to not open any position at least until tomorrow evening, after all news are finished and we can see much more in detail. And also because of the Labor Day that is tomorrow, and it may have a lot of movements that will be unpredictable. Based on the AUD USD, this is my first pair that I did analysis. I did analysis for this week, only those 6. I will tell you then later on the end the reason why. AUD USD is on a descending channel, and we can see that it rejected this part of the trend line, and here it has moved more than 250 pips constantly to the downside. And based on this movement, I expect a pullback at least 100 or 150 pips to the upside, or a retest of this zone and continue to the downside. But it all depends what will happen of the AUD news and USD news. Actually, to me, in my time is today. So based on this one, this is the area that I have possibility for entries. So if I want to grab here some 100 pips, and here if I want to grab 155, based on this one, this pair is ready for entry now, AUD USD. But just because of the news that it's coming in the next 5.5 hours, I'm not opening positions in AUD USD. So we can see that based on this one, it has rejected, it has broke out and retested this trend line, but we can see that what will happen, whether it will get inside the trend line, but it all depends only tomorrow what will happen during the news. USD CAD. USD CAD is a very interesting situation because based on this one that is ascending, we see that this part of the channel is descending, and it's near the trend line, which we are waiting what will happen actually based on the news. So tomorrow the GDP news will give a good push or direction of the CAD. I honestly expect CAD to move to the downside just because of this movement that has been happening for the last 7-8 days, because it has constantly moved to the upside for almost 350 pips, and I just expect to pull back. And based on the pressure that Canadian government wants to push more USD CAD to the downside, so this is in a box area right now in the consolidation zone that for me it needs to break the 1.28073 in order to get entry, or if it breaks the trend line, I can take this one from 1.29073 to the upside, 400 pips, and also here. So because CAD right now is in the zone that has completely respected the last kisses of the trend line. You can see this one touched, retested the double one, the last kiss, and it had pushed constantly to the upside. You can see this one happened here. Also, this one is the last kiss, and that's why I'm expecting more movement to the downside. So it all depends what will happen tomorrow, based on the news also to the USD CAD. Euro USD, it's actually, I just did some analysis based on this one, and I looked actually where is my possibility for entry. If I would enter right now here, because I made my entry area here and here in total for the moment here would be 93 pips. The reason why I didn't take it is just because of this candle. Based on the training course that I've learned, sometimes it's very important to control your emotion based on the type of the candle that you see. Because if I saw a big push of this type of candle and open a position here, maybe it will come here, or maybe it will come pull back to the 0.382. So that's why I just waited for this area in order to retest. And actually, after tomorrow news are finished, I expect Euro USD to continue to the downside, which my target is almost 1.20 here, based on the structure that has been made. Because we can look on the daily, this one that has broken completely. Let me just zoom out. Yeah, we can see that this one that has been broken completely and is continuing to the downside. But based on this type of movement, we can see that here they are constant movement to the downside to approximately 335 pips, and that's the reason I expect at least a pullback to the second entry area here in order to continue for the short. Otherwise, if it comes to this area, I would consider this one as a long based on the rejection of this zone that has been happening. But I believe that Euro USD will continue more to the downside based on the structure that has been done. Also, it's very important for in this situation, this is a perfect example that if we consider like this part that let's say this one has been broken and this is completely broken, so we can wait for the retest of the other candle. So this is a perfect example how it's possible to take an entry and gain like 40-50 pips, because this one touched here the trend line, retested this area, you can see the doji here, and then it continues constantly to the downside. So we can see that from this area to here it continued to 60 to 70 pips. So Euro USD, after the news are finished, I expect a continuous movement to the downside. USD JPY, it's a very critical zone right now because I don't like this area that is for the whole time USD JPY based on the daily candle. I expect a movement to the downside because based on this movement that has been happening, or this one, because we can see that just this one is everything bullish and is like 250 pips, and 110, actually this area right here is very critical to break for USD JPY. So it all depends what will happen based on the news and the gold, the impact of this one. My entry area for long in USD JPY is 109.500, and if that breaks and retest, I'm good to go for 100 pips long position until to the monthly resistance. Otherwise, I expect movement to the downside, which my entry area is at 108.434 in order to continue for the short. But honestly, I would love to wait to come USD JPY to this area somewhere here. Maybe it's not ready for this week, but will be ready for the next week, USD JPY. For me, pound USD, I'm waiting for long, but also there is an area that will show the retest of the whole trend line, and we can see what will happen next. The reason why I'm looking for long, because it's like bank pressure has moved 607, almost 670 pips constantly to the downside. So there is no, just considering this candle, constantly to the downside movement. So I just expect a relief of 300 to 400 pips to the upside, but it all depends also for tomorrow news, from the pound news that is, and we can see what will happen. So this is my entry area right here actually. So if pound USD comes to 1.38518, I expect a bullish movement to the upside, and my target are 181 pips until to the area right here. But also my second target is 1.39900 based on this rejection zone. If it breaks this one, we are clear to go even more to the upside. So we can say that if this breaks, we can continue also right on the top, like 460 pips. But it all depends, because if I see a movement of pound USD to come like here, retest this one, reject of this zone and continue to the downside, then my entry area is at 1.37600 and retest, which are approximately 200 pips area in order to get this one, in order to come until to the touching point of the trend line right here. Let me do this one longer, yeah. So until to this area right here. So that's a good situation also for pound USD, but personally I think this will be long, just because how many times that touched the trend line. We can see that here rejected, here rejected, here rejected, and every time is trying to make a push, comes here and continues to the upside. It's with the same situation, like here upside, here continues upside. And this is an example how this one, based on the trend line analysis, how we should wait based on the exact entry to get here, because here right now it's near the trend line, and when it's near the trend line, I personally don't take trades until it breaks out. If the whole week doesn't break the trend line, I won't take any entry in the zone, because it's very critical for me, even near the monthly support and near the trend line. So we get a break of either this one get upside or this to the downside, we're good to go on pound USD. NU here, NU, it's very critical, just because I see NU based, we can go to the NU on the weekly, which is very interesting, and I like this one a lot, because just looking the history of NU, if it makes a relief, it will push even more to the downside. It's the same here. They are like almost 1,500 pips. Relief, push, relief, push, relief, push. Now it's I believe that NU will continue more to the downside, but it all depends from the news tomorrow that will happen. If it gets inside the trend line, here is my area that I'm planning for entry. And you need to come to 0.71250 in order to get an entry, because it gets inside it gets inside the trend line and continues to the upside. Otherwise, if it breaks and retests my entry area here for short, then we're clear to go for another 200 pips here, continue constant to the downside, based on the rejection of the trend line and this one that is actually happened. Is this the final relief that will happen more to the downside for NU? We don't know yet until we break one level, actually right here. If we break this one, because we can see also the trend line from this area right here, or even here, if we break this one and break the one level, we're going to go even more to the downside. So that's the big push of NU that we are waiting, or for some brokers that is the big bonus of this area. For the exotics, this week I have done analysis just for pound CAD. The reason why I've not done the euro CAD, pound JPY, CAD JPY, and AUD JPY is just because of the news that are for this week. Because let's say I have CAD JPY, if USD JPY moves to the downside, then CAD JPY is possible to move to the downside. Where USD CAD moves to the upside, it just will put in the consolidation zone. So I need to have clear directions, because I think Euro CAD, Pound JPY, CAD JPY, and AUD JPY are best trade on the coming next week, because the catalyst will happen this week from the news, and then they are ready to give a clear direction comparing to the next week. But Pound JPY, Pound CAD, sorry guys, Pound CAD is very interesting, because here I am personally looking for long, just because of this area that has been reached and touched, this one here, because we can see that after a big movement, big push to the upside, actually right here, which are 1,600 pips, now it's relieving and it's getting 7,990 pips almost to reaching to having the pullback zone, and is creating the bull flag here. And also we were taking entries like in here, this situation, like earlier when we had this breakout, because earlier I had an entry like here, and actually is just because I wasn't earlier patient. I closed earlier because let's say we had this break and this break, because I had the entry area right here, but this, it would have continued, it would be able to get more pips. But it all depends how people are patient and so forth. So Pound CAD, I expect a movement now to the upside, but in order to continue to the upside, it needs to come to 1.78500 in order to take the entry. Otherwise, it's here in this zone, I would not prefer to take an entry. The reason is that it's near the trend line, near the daily support, monthly support. It retested this one, but it is possible also to continue more to the downside. But based on this candle on the 4-hour, but even on the daily, we can see that it should actually happen, a pullback to the upside, because this is the final touch that has been happening here. And I expect movement of here and continue to the upside. If not, if we break and retest this area, the monthly support, and right here, rejection zone, so we're clear to go down for another push to 1.74213. But the reason why I did just, as I mentioned earlier, the reason why I did just pound CAD is that based on the news of USD CAD and pound USD on the morning, I expect this to push to the upside, pound CAD. And if we have good news also on USD CAD that gives a good direction to move to the upside, then pound CAD will be like a skyrocket, continues to the upside. That's why it's all depend on the news on those pairs. But for this one, it's possible to have consolidation zone for this week, and that's why I'm just waiting until all news are done. But I personally think that for this week it's possible even to get 500 or 1,000 pips on here, but it all depends for people who are emotional, who are controlling emotions and who follow their trades a lot. Personally, I have made my entry areas here, which I know exactly since I'm following up every day, every hour my charts. I have made those areas and I know exactly which I'm taking entries. So for this week, I expect some good setups, which next week I believe it will be much better, because those news that will happen this week will impact also the next week, which at least will give a good direction. So this is it from my side. If you have any questions, don't mind asking.
Thank you so much, Bessart, for that. I really appreciate that.
Exactly.
And so I'll go back to sharing my screen. And guys, if you want to follow Bessart or ask him any questions or things like that, you guys can always reach him on Instagram at TheHonestFX. I'll type it in there. That is his handle on the chat room. And so now, guys, we will be getting to the questions and answers section of the webinar. So whatever questions you guys had, by all means, write them down in the chat room, or you guys can always unmute your mics and things of that nature. Don't really mind how we go about and doing things. But let me start with the questions here, guys, and then we will continue onwards. So let's see here. Can you review NZD USD? It looks like a sell. Rodrigo, we went over that. Let me know if you got that. But I know Mohammed and Rodrigo, they want me to just go over those two. So I'll go over them real quick one more time. Mohammed, for EU, we were just basically stating two things. We were either stating that structure is range bound right now, and we are either going to whoops, why is that so small? Sorry, guys. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. So, oh, stop it. Sorry. Okay. So we got two ways, guys. We are range bound right now. Either A, we're going to break the tops and we should rally above, but remember the bullish bias is not really warranted until about that 121.12 handle's broken. But you do have short-term bias to the upside. Failure to do so is the moment that this starts to break out. You're looking to sell that back to the downside or simply sell it down here. Just remember that this trade right here might be warranted as a shorter term trade simply because the R&R might not be worth it for you. And on top of that, this is quite extended already, and you're going to expect a bigger term correction at some point or a shift within momentum. And then NZD USD, as Bessart and I had said, we are still targeting downside, but the question is, where are we going to go, right? Are we going to start popping to the downside near here? Or are we going to expect a relief and continue to the downside after that? And so that's really the big question, guys, because right now this is not forming a continuation pattern, but a reversal pattern. So I personally expect a pullback, creates a lower high, and then you're going to expect that one last drop to the downside. Failure to do so, guys, you might get this trade. But just remember, you do have weekly levels here. Your stops are going to have to be here. So the R&R is not going to be a one-to-one. So in reality, guys, you don't know, you have to warrant if that's really the type of trade that you're so interested in. But besides that, that's how I would approach NU and EU. Bessart and I had the same approach on it, except Bessart said he was looking for a sell on EU, which he actually is correct. If you guys take my course, you guys would only be looking for sells on EU. I am just being a little bit long bias here when I do have some validity here with the left here, but we'll see. Right now, you should be still looking for sells unless we create higher highs. But so, oh yeah, Hayden would like me to go over gold. Gold, Hayden, I don't have any analysis on it, but I can just break it down for you real quick. Let's start from the monthly. Still in a bear market right now, simply because you do have that tops there. So you're looking to sell these rallies on the monthly. Go into the weekly time frame. You're basically Yep, you're still targeting downside. We're at a very critical level here at the top here around that 1370-ish marker to 1400. That's very critical. And let me just pop a couple things here for you, Hayden. Just doing this really quickly. But yeah, we got one, and we'll just leave that at that. So basically, there's two ways that gold's going to play out just looking at it on the daily. We got the impulse to the upside. This is consolidated and profit-taking relief. So two ways, okay? Either A, we break out, we continue above, stops or move to break even when we get to the tops here. And either A, you keep breaking, going higher. Or B, it's simply going to start pulling back and you might expect another push to the downside, might even break these lows, but short term. Or B, you're simply looking for these lows to break and that's your trade straight back to the downside. Failure to do either or will just warrant consolidation between this low right here and the floor of this base here. And I don't think it's worth trading within that. So the way I would warrant it, Hayden, is either breaks are there or breaks are there. Failure to do so, not taking anything. Make sense?
But this one helps a lot to watch where UJ is going based on the movement of gold.
Yes.
So if gold moves to the upside, even on this consolidation box, so UJ is ready for short.
The only thing that's been quite interesting, and Bessart brings up a good point, boys, is that ever since crypto's been starting to come into the game a bit more, when crypto was really popular, right? Like last year when Bitcoin was taking off, a lot of institutional investors started pumping cash into crypto, which actually caused the correlation of of gold to yen to start decreasing a little bit, which was interesting. A lot of traders weren't able to use gold as a good external, financial product to give indications of which way, the yen was going to move. So had to start looking at other products as well. Thank you, my friend. Owner said nice analysis. What's up, Khaled? Shout out to Khaled over there. He's killing it. I saw him in the live session, guys. Real quick, guys, I just want to say this right now, and I got you, Mehdi, after. Khaled, guys, is another true definition of what it takes to grind this game in and day out. And, you don't need a lot of money to start trading, right? I think Khaled right now, since taking the full volume training course, has over, what, Khaled, you have 900% or you over 1,000% now? But the one thing, guys, in the end of the day is that Khaled has proven, and even other of my students have proven that, you don't need large sums of money to create large sums of money, right? But if you understand how to actually trade the markets and understand the way that they move and understand how to properly trade them with proper risk and things of that nature, following the rules, you'll be okay. You'll be fine, right? And so shout out to Khaled. He's killing it. And Mehdi wants pound yen. Yeah, everyone better just be taking a short. Like, fuck. Excuse my language, guys, but there you go. So basically, that's what you're in, Mehdi. It might dip a little more. Eventually, you're going to get a pullback, but you're looking to sell these rallies. So in reality, I would sell this. Once you get to here, stops to break even, give it a shot. If that doesn't break, you're going to get that, and that's your sell setup once that happens. But it's tough because that could be a false break as well because we are expecting pound to start rising. But that is a pretty solid break and retest. So I would just say this, Mehdi, my honest suggestion, sell the flag. Once you get to the lows, move stops to break even, get a shot. But one thing to note is that once we break out of this, really look at how we start acting on the lows, right? Because that's going to be the real definitive decider, and you should be in a good enough profit to decide which way you want to move the trade. This will create your lower high and small term channel, and that's kind of what you'll be working within. This is probably the channel that you're in. Yeah. So kind of whenever, as long as that's still holding, you're still bearish on that. Let's try to pin that in there. There you go. That's your trend, right? That's a really good sell setup, actually, Mehdi. So once you get that, plus that, just like I said, you want to be careful of these lows because I am not long on pound yet. And UJ is also continuing to the upside, hence it's depreciating. So this should actually just consolidate in reality. But let's see here. Let me know if that made sense, Mehdi. Mr. X did not go over AUD CAD. I got you, boss. AUD CAD, guys. Let's check monthly. Sell. Sell, but you got short term, right? Because it's like AUD. We only see AUD going so far right now. A lot of the AUD pairs you really don't want to be trading unless they're seeing continued corrections.
Right, and it's constantly movement to the downside. That scares me.
Shout out to Axel for being part of the training course. What's up, big guy? Glad to have you on board. Hopefully I see you in the live training. Trying to see a bunch of my students start coming into the live training. News is coming out very soon, Mr. X, so I might take profits and jump. Yeah, I mean, if you got data coming out, remember, if you're part of my course, I know you guys use different names, so it's tough, but if you're part of my course, we always do say 12 to 24 hours out, high volatile data, product structure will tend to consolidate leading up into the pending data, right? So, oh, what's up, Blake? What's up, baller? How you doing, big guy? So yeah, I don't know some of your names and stuff like that because like Mr. X, and then I know another gentleman in here who's named something that his name's Mr. FX as well. So I know you guys go by different names and stuff like that. So that's the only reason why. But shout out to Blake, another man part of the course. So yeah, Blake. In the end of the day, I would suggest that if you got high volatile AUD news, right, and we were stating here, Blake, that AUD in general is short term to the downside right now. Yeah, stop with Telegram. So, that's the thing, right, is how much longer are we going to go? And you have to ask yourself, Blake, right, do you really want to, deal with this right now? It's very extended. And with every extended move, you always get a pullback, right? And so you want to see this. That's your trade if you get it. That's your golden trade. And that comes right in line with this trend here, and that creates another lower high. You know what I mean? So let me know if that makes sense, boss. Yeah, exactly. Blake, it's better just to secure the profit and see how things go out. And look, if AUD CAD, just let's say you were in a sell, continues to shit the bed, just be like, you know what? At least I protected the risk associated to me, right? Because every time people take trades and they close when there's data coming out and then the data ends up pushing that trade even further, everyone's so upset. They're like, oh, I could have made all this money, whatever it is. But then I'm like, yeah, you could have lost all that money as well, right? So you got to factor that in the end of the day. Our goal, guys, here is to make continuous, to make consistent, compounded income over time, right? Our goal is not to make $1 million and be done, right? We're trying to make, $1 million continuously over, months and years and so forth over time to the point where, you guys are sitting like Warren Buffett and stuff like that. If you guys want to really know the true nature of what compounding is, just go look at Warren Buffett's net worth. That's called compounding. Okay. So, and that's the power of compounding, to be completely honest, not becoming a billionaire before in the 50s. So, that's true compounding of life. But that's how you really want to look at it. So Blake, I think that's a really smart idea. So guys, we're going to have about 5-10 minutes left on this webinar. I really appreciate everybody, sitting in and sitting and sticking through all of this. I know it's a bit long right now. But guys, if you guys have any additional questions that you guys want to ask me pertaining the webinar and things of that nature, by all means, go right ahead. Also, guys, I did just want to make an announcement for 2 things. One, I did just recently open up a YouTube channel. So all these are now going to be uploaded on the YouTube channel. So you guys can just subscribe through there, directly go through there, and these will be weekly there as well. So if you guys cannot make the webinar, they'll always be recorded online. And secondly, guys, to the guys that still have questions pertaining to FX and stuff like that, I've recently come up with a new concept. Basically, what do you want to know? And what this really, guys, does in the end of the day is that it's literally a webinar where I want people just to come online and tell me what the hell they need to work on. And why I'm doing this is because in the end of the day, I want to shed as much transparency and clarity as I possibly can. Now, of course, I'm not going to, teach the whole training course, right? Because that takes a considerable amount of time. But if I can give people a taste of proper knowledge and not being misled and stuff like that, maybe they'll seek other people and get, advice within our community and stuff like that. And so whoever wants to come and join, ask questions and stuff like that, it's just for educational purposes and informational. And things of that nature. So, that's what I'm trying to do. And the other cool thing, guys, that I'm looking to do down the road is for all my students that are, a part of the full volume training course, right? You guys all know that we have our live training sessions, and those have been getting bigger and bigger each week, which has been awesome, guys. And so one of the things that I really love about the live training is that we're starting to create a community. And I noticed that a bunch of guys are actually ending up connecting with each other, and they're talking and stuff like that. And now they're creating their own little trading groups and their own trading teams and stuff like that. And that is awesome. That is, excuse my language, but fucking awesome. Okay. And the thing in the end of the day, guys, is that it's not just about making money here, but it is about creating relationships and friendships as well, because let me tell you something, and take it from me. Trading is a lonely game. It's a lonely game if you do it on your own. Okay. And, ever since I started That FX Trader, I've never had more excitement for trading, for the one factor that I get to work with you guys, and I get to see what your results are like. I've created such relationships and friendships that will last a lifetime, and I can just, bullshit and joke. And that's really what it's all about. It's very difficult, guys, to do this on your own when you got to deal with the wins and the losses on your own. It's tough. It's not easy. And so I encourage you guys to constantly find others who have the same, same mindset as you guys and want to work in the same way and things of that nature. So that's the really cool thing as well, part of the live training, which brings me to my next point, which is going to be incorporating some type of, workshops that people can work in groups and stuff like that as well. And I'm going to create little scenarios there and stuff like that. So to my students that are part of the live training, be on the lookout. To the guys that are not a part of the full volume training course, I don't know what the hell you're not doing and not joining the full volume training course, because we're going to turn more full-time people, and we're going to turn more people into full-time traders than anyone else. Mark my words. It's going to happen. But yeah, guys, so if you guys want to join tomorrow, come along and just ask some questions. By all means, go right ahead, guys. Completely up to you. And Shabi, absolutely, big guy. I got you in USD CHF. Shout out to Shabi, another one of my students. Shabi actually takes the one-on-one training, and he's been killing it, guys. So shout out to Shabi. And Shabi, let's see what's going on here, big guy. What are you, long or short bias? Obviously long bias right now, but Shabi, the one thing here, and I'm sure you're feeling it as well, is that it's very extended. Shabi, I'm going to unmute your mic real quick so it's just easier to talk to you. Where's your thing? There it goes. Shabi, can you hear me? Your mic work?
Yeah, bro.
There we go, big guy. Got the internet back working, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm from my phone right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, guys, Shabi.
My computer sucks.
Yeah, we were doing a one-on-one session earlier, and then, unfortunately, we had to close it down.
Yeah, I know.
So, I don't have any analysis on this, but what are you looking for, long or short?
Currently, I'm long, but I wanted to think. I wanted you to tell me what you think about this.
What do you think about it, though? Before I even say anything, what's wrong with it?
Obviously, we're extended. We need to wait for a pullback.
That pullback, that's going to create what?
Pullback to the trend line, going to continue for continuation pattern.
Right, and what's the
behavior? Going to create a high low.
Right, also create some type of flag.
Relief.
Yep, and then from there, we're just going to look for that trade to the upside. If it keeps going, it's just warranted as extended. It might not be the trade that you want.
Okay.
Simply because it's too high, it's warranted as too much. It's going to be warranted as a higher risk exposed trade, and you never know when the pullback's going to come, because at some point people are going to liquidate, right?
Yeah, of course.
What can happen is that when you enter an extended move, if you guys get it, great. But this is the thing, Shabi. It's like you're going to get the break here, and we're going to go. But the question is, when is this going to get liquidated? Because
it's a hard question to answer.
That's why we warrant these trades as more aggressive trades or higher risk exposed trades or whatever the hell you want to call them in the end of the day, just because of the extendedness of them. Now, it's not to say that you can't enter extended trades, because, for example, you pop to the one, right? And this is how I do it, Shop. Basically, we're in this range, right? because of this impulse idea, created this relief, right?
Yeah.
If we break to the tops, you can take that trade. But what do you think you want to be doing with your stop loss?
Obviously, the stops will be right below the.
But I mean, when we're in the trade, we're going to try to move them as quickly as we possibly can.
Oh yeah, we're gonna try to move them as soon as possible to break even.
Simply because what's wrong with the structure?
Sorry?
Simply because the structure is what?
It's too extended.
Right, exactly. So that's why you want to reduce the risk as much as you can that's associated to you, simply because you know at some point you're expecting
some sort of relief.
Right.
Yeah, probably. Probably as long as it's gonna go on. If it's gonna make a pullback, so we gotta size out.
Right, exactly. Or you might just start, or you just might close the position. Like for example,
close the position at all.
Right, like we were going over today. Like if you see this and then it starts falsely breaking, you know automatically that.
Yeah, sizing out, closing the position.
Right, and you're most likely going to get the relief then.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, bro.
So if I were you, Shabi, just look to long. I mean, it's so extended.
So should I close my positions? Because like right now I'm in small profits, but.
Okay, and we can even do this live right now. Ready for this? Two things.
Yeah.
You're not going to close your position for one reason. Just like we said today, a trend is not a straight line, right?
Yeah.
And just like we went over today, what's it warranted by? Highs and lows, right?
Highs and lows, yeah.
Let's count the highs and lows, Shabi, and let's make it nice and easy for everyone, right? You want to mark them or I mark them? We can start from here. Here's the low.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mark it. Where's the high?
I don't think I can.
I see. I'm very afraid. If I'm gonna do it. Go ahead. I'll tell you.
I can do it. Yeah, I can do it.
So that's the low. Give me the high.
Okay, the high is here.
No, real high.
Oh, okay, here.
Next low.
Right here.
Okay. Where's the last low where's the last low that needs to be broken to warrant a shift within momentum?
This one.
Another
one? This one?
Where's the last low?
This one? Oh, you're talking about this one? Okay.
Which was first?
Oh, obviously this one, yeah.
And wouldn't you warrant that these are continuations of this initial low?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So as long as that low is not breaking, you're still biased to the
upside.
Right, but if this starts cracking to the downside, then you know.
Yeah, obviously we're in sell.
Right.
Okay, that's good. So, like, we need to break this low. Oh, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
We need to break that low of like 98.75, something around that.
Yep.
Okay, before we can go short.
Right, but the thing again, once again, is if you take a short, tell me it wouldn't be warranted as a counter trend play, but may be warranted as more of an aggressive approach. And tell me why.
Oh, because we're still bullish.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, obviously. Short till the longer term ascending trend line.
So you can try to run the short all the way into, this area near here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be careful though, because I would try to just run it into here, because this is, that's the impulse of the base. This is the first low. So this is how it would go. If we break, we could come to here and start the rally if we crack out of that, or if we continue to go. So it's really critical level number 1 and critical level number 2. If both get broken, if both get broken, this is a free trade. But this right here is very dangerous because of all of this, which warrants that relief.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, look, if we're gonna break this short-term ascending trend line that you just draw before, and we're gonna break this support level, then I'm gonna go here, wait for a retest, go short for here, take profit first. Take profit's gonna be here. Then I'm gonna move my stops to break even. So even if we're gonna go back up, then I'm gonna kick out of my stops.
You're gonna get kicked out of stop and just look for the buy.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Yeah, that's the beauty about it.
Yeah, not a problem.
And the R&R Shabi would be really good, because if we keep it like this here real quick, guys, let's say Shabi took the trade right there. If the stops were here, Shabi want to put like 50, 60.
Yeah.
R&R might not be a 1-to-1, almost a 1-to-1.
Yeah, just 1-to-1, yeah.
Yeah, which is just about right, which is fine. Remember, guys, at the end of the day, your take profit 1 to R&R to your stop loss should always be 1-to-1.
Yeah, not less 1-to-1.
Swiss franc?
Sorry?
But that makes sense, right, in the Swiss franc?
Yeah, that was a good one.
So just the one thing, guys, just to review what Shabby was going over real quick. If you guys ever have questions about, the structure reversing, should I get out, et cetera, simply warrant just more. Remember, trend is not dictated by just one straight line. It's warranted by highs and lows. So simply point out the last highs and lows. And once we create higher highs or lower lows, that warrants either continuation or shift within momentum. It's as simple as that. As long as we don't break this low, Shabby's still long. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. And if we break these highs, great, continuing. If we don't, we'll probably just deal in consolidation.
Yeah, consolidation. That's what I wanted to show you on our session. Like I was supposed to get in like here, something like this.
Oh, on the sell?
That on a buy, on a long one.
Oh, you're saying once we broke? Yeah, that was the trade. That was the trade that I would like to see you take right there and kind of pull this here and stops are here.
That's what I wanted to. I mean, that's what I was supposed to do.
Right.
And I took the trade like it. I took it like at 99, something around here. Just like here.
And the entry that you got is not bad either because you are entering right on the last higher low. You know what I mean? Like kind of right here, rejecting that.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough though, Shabby, because of just how extended it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I get that.
that's really the only thing. But was I able to answer your question on this, big guy?
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Always, Shabby. Shout out to you. You're kicking ass, big guy.
Thanks, man.
Cal said adjust the stop loss and then
This is Besat Patsuli speaking. I'm calling regarding to a withdrawal.
Mute best. Sorry guys. Axel asked, will break of the low has to be on the 1 hour, a higher time frame like the 4. Axel, you want to unmute your mic real quick? Can you do that? If not, big guy, I can just answer it. Up to you. Okay. Are you there, Axel?
Yes. You hear me?
What's up, big guy? How you doing?
How are you? Good, and you?
Alive and well.
Me too.
Talking along. So, was your question on Swiss franc?
Yeah, and it's just wondering, like, the break of a low has to be on the 1 hour, or like have it like a higher time frame since he has more power.
I mean, typically, when you look at it like this, if you saw a 1 hour break versus a 4 hour break, which one you can have more confidence on?
I'll guess the 4 hour, to be honest.
And even ask yourself, market momentum is where?
Up.
So ideally, if you're going to try to take, it's not a counter trend play, but it is sort of a counter trend play because you got this bad boy here. You know what I mean? So Let's say it's not a counter trend play though. Okay. If you're going to try to shift momentum, right? Would you want to see the shift occur on a 1 or a 4? I mean, ultimately, the way we teach in my course, we want to see it on the daily.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, right, because we're always saying we get our bias from the daily. So if the daily changes, then we can start looking for sells.
Yes, sure.
But in this example here, let's say, you know what, Axel's feeling like, you know what, screw it. The R&R is going to be good because if I can get an entry here, I'll put a tight stop and give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that's fine because I'm cool with that. The R&R is fine. You're going for a solid R&R, which is going to be huge versus the stop. And, you know, if you get stopped out, you understand that the bullish momentum is still to the upside. So when assessing a structure like this, Axel, you just want to ask yourself, okay, I'm trying to take a trade that is literally shifting the momentum from the last, let's say, 7-8 days. So in an instance like that, most likely, if I'm going to try to get, you know, a smaller time frame entry, the minimum that we want to see it on is probably what?
Can you repeat that? I didn't get that.
No worries. So I was saying, if we're going to try to see a shift within momentum on the smaller time frames, and really seeing a shift that was trending for 7-8 days, we're probably going to want to see it on what time frame?
I'll say the 4 hour.
Right.
Yeah.
And what happens, Axel, if it breaks, retests, wicks, and then starts breaking above, and then all of a sudden you're like, crap.
Yeah, that's a false breakout.
Right, and then we held this low, we created a higher low, and then we just continued.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like what I would like to see if that happened was honestly break to here. Because then you know you're going to get that. And then once this breaks, you have a target. Where do you target once you enter here, once it breaks out?
To the retest.
Well, you target back to the?
Retest, yeah.
Right. And so that's the thing that, you know, we would ideally like to see, because if price creates a base and then pulls back, now once this breakout breaks, you have an ideal target of where you can take this next trade, and you start this small term bear market.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, now I get it. That was my thing. Yes.
Because remember, guys, in the end of the day, a trend is not warranted by a straight direction by highs and lows. Like real quick, Axel, let's start. Here's a high, right?
Yeah.
Here's a low. What two other things need to happen to form this downtrend?
Lower high.
Okay, lower high, that's 3, and then what?
Higher low.
Other way.
Oh, high, to a downtrend?
Yeah.
Lower low.
High,
Yeah, lower low.
Right. And
Yes.
then look what you have here now.
Okay, yes, sir.
Right. So just remember that in the end of the day, when looking at it, it's like, okay, this is the low, that's a high, that's a low. So if we break this, we should continue to there. But remember, the bullish momentum is still in favor.
Yeah. So for instance, if it breaks that and it continues to the daily trend, I guess it's kind of forming like a little flag.
And what are we going to warrant that as? Just what?
Counter trend.
But not counter trend, more as relief.
Of relief, yeah, of profit taking.
Right, because that's a lot, right? If this happens and it pulls all the way back to the trend,
yeah,
you'll think that's a big movement, right? But in reality, let's just look at it. And let's look at it very simplistic real quick. We measure X up and we leg about almost 350 pips, right?
yeah.
And let's say we consolidate down to about 150, 160. Is that going to really surprise you?
No, not really.
Right. It's versus, it's only half of the initial movement. So we're just warranting that as what?
It's a relief.
Right.
Yeah.
For continuation up.
Yes, sir.
Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Awesome. See? That's what I'm talking about. We are growing, people. Love it. I love you guys. You guys are the best in the end of the day. I'm not gonna lie. They say the Forex family and so forth. They say they got the best family, but no, I got the best family, and I'll say it for one reason. Whenever anyone tries to come and start shit or whatever it is, man, it's like I got like an army ready to go. Like I've never seen so many people, like just support, and so I can't thank you enough, guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Always. So I'm glad I was able to answer that, Axel. And so, guys, if you guys have any last minute questions, by all means, please ask now. Thank you, Shabi, as always. And then to the guys that are still here and that are part of my group chat and signals, and in general, I will get to all messages, all setups, all alerts. Everything will be done before I knock out tonight. So there's no time frame on it because I've been up for about 36 hours and I'm gonna try to get a little bit of sleep and then bang everything out for you guys. But just know that all messages will be responded to, setups will be sent as normal, alerts will be sent with the economic calendar. Gonna upload the webinar tonight, guys. So you guys got that. That'll be on the website at thatfxtrader.com and on the YouTube channel at thatfxtrader. Go and follow or subscribe. Shit, don't even know that word. And then besides that, guys, just wanted to say thank you so much again for all coming out. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are really unbelievable. And what's really cool is I'm seeing more and more of my students coming in here. It just shows me how hungry you guys are in the end of the day. Like I don't know where everyone's time zone is, but like I know that Shabi over there, it's got to be like 3-4 in the morning for him right now. He's still grinding out here, ready to put in the work, and I'm not gonna lie, I would say 99% of my students are like that. I got some serious grinders, it's the only reason why I have so many success stories is just because you guys grind so hard. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how good my course is or how good I can teach how to trade. In the end of the day, if you guys are not willing to put in the work, you guys aren't going to reap the benefits, right? And so I exactly what Mehdi said. He said we are many and we are motivated, right? Precisely, right? And this family's only going to grow over the months and over the years, and so that's why, guys, I really really suggest that you guys come to these live trainings, not because for my students, not because I want you guys to come and ask questions, even though I want you guys to, but because I want you guys to meet other individuals, form training groups and stuff like that. It just makes the entire Forex community become better. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I encourage all my students, create Instagram accounts and stuff like that, not to promote me, but to get rid of all that nonsense that's online. You know what I mean? The main reason I came out here, you know? And so it's interesting. Like, I came out here to, you know, rid the bullshit, and the bullshit's only gotten bigger as I've been here. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane how much the FX market has taken off on social media and stuff like that. It's like literally driven by social media now, which is crazy. And so that's why, you know, I really encourage you guys all do that. But, you know, just want to say thank you so much. And you guys are amazing. And yeah, so expect everything to be done later on tonight, guys, setups, etc. We'll get to all the messages and things of that nature. I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. I really do. I just want to say thank you so much again, as always, guys. And then for my students, live training Thursday, we got the 10 a.m. slot. Be ready to go. Email is going to come out tomorrow, guys. And then, guys, this webinar for the guys that are just looking for the webinar, that's going to be uploaded later on tonight. And you can check social media for the uploads on there as well. And then, of course, guys, going to be looking to do the same time like this next week, probably on Sunday, so I can get more people, because I'm sure a lot of people are beat from work, so I completely understand that. And yeah, besides that, guys, thank you so much for everything. As always, I really can't thank you guys enough, because, you know, to be honest, guys, without your guys' support and without your guys' word of mouth and talk, you know, talking me up and stuff like that, you know, I'm not here, right? And so, Cal, I'm going to upload everything to the webinar. So, I mean, to YouTube. So don't worry, you'll be able to see the CAD analysis if that's okay. But here you go, Cal. Two real quick. I'll give you a quick rundown on CAD. There's just two ways. You're either playing the tops or you're playing the breaks at the bottom. So here you go, Cal. Simple way. You're range bound. This breaks, take the downside. If that breaks, take the upsides. So if not, you don't want to trade in this. And then, but yeah, you know, seriously, guys, without your support and stuff like that, you know, I wouldn't be where I am today. And we've grown quite large. You know, I didn't expect it to get this big, get this many followers and so forth. So really, really cool stuff, guys. Really appreciate it as always. And there's nothing better, guys, than having, you know, my students come out to New York and meet up with them, and then for them to tell me that I'm full time and that they're living the life that they want. And so when all you guys, all my students, you guys hit full time, you guys either tell me to fly out to you or you fly out to me, and I'll buy you your first drink or just go out to dinner and stuff like that. But anyways, guys, I know it's late. Thank you so much all for coming out. Really appreciate it. Best art, as always. Thank you so much for being a trooper. You are unbelievable. And yeah, so I will see you guys all next week. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And guys, be careful. It's NFP week. Expect consolidation on majority of the dollar pairs. After Wednesday, things will lighten up. That's a given. Okay. And now that's going to happen, and watch, like Wednesday night, everything's going to take off and be like, Albert, you lied to us. No, but just take that into consideration, right? Things are expected to slow down. Be careful. Tomorrow, a lot of data coming out. Be careful. Be careful this week. Okay. These are the catalyst weeks. Next week is the continuation week. Okay. Have a safe trading week, guys. Kick some ass. Hope all is well. If you guys need any help, Instagram, Telegram, wherever else, find me somewhere. Love you all. Have a wonderful week. I'll speak to you guys soon.